tomorrow's video. Today's one is for Tonic's Today's Treasures die set, which is part of their birthday week / Christmas in July for 2023. And this one is one of their fantastic double A4 die sets that's all to do with memory books. And a lot of the time they like to include different styles of memory books within these like double A4 die sets that they do in these sort of special events. And for this one, we've got the normal style of memory book in 3 different sizes, plus 2 layers for each of those 3 different sizes. Then we also have 2 sizes of half cuts as well. So we've got a half cut for the medium and the small size. And as well as that, we also have these kind of ones that they could definitely just be pages by themselves. They're not completely set up the same as a normal pages. They haven't got like the final decorative edge to sort of finish it off before the sort of spine portion of it. But you also have these ones that don't have that last cutting edge. So you can use them as little lift pieces within your actual page. You can like die cut them in first and then you can lift them up, or you could use them to create some kind of like waterfall sort of feature, or you can turn them into actual pages of the book as well. Or on mine, I've actually used 2 of them, the smaller one, either side of one of the smallest page dies to kind of create a piece that folds inwards and then has a magnetic closure as well. So you can kind of do all sorts with the different pieces, but it's really nice that Tonic like to do these sets that include a few different things in there. And as well as having like different types of things, they've also got a different binding in here as well, which I actually think it is more to be kind of like decorative, so that you could maybe have 2 of these that are like the 2 sides of your book. You have 2 spines on your book, one either side, and then this one actually like laces together, because they've done it so that it's got like notches to line up the holes on this side, whereas I put my holes on this side of it so that it went in the actual like spine portion of the little book that I was making. But you have the ability to line it up perfectly with some little notches that are in here on this side, which makes me think, because you wouldn't really want the page to be that way round in your book, it makes me think that maybe you would put 2 of them next to each other and you could lace between them with some baker's twine or some 3mm ribbon from Tonic as well. You could do a gorgeous laced detail, whether that is the opening for the book, which might be a little bit fiddly for someone to have to undo and do up again, or it could be a kind of feature within a page and maybe you leave the top and bottom open so you could like put photographs behind it, and maybe you have it like a lacy pattern in it so you could see the photographs through it and have that gorgeous lacing down the middle or something. But that's something a little bit different. I don't think we've seen that kind of thing before, but even though they've done it like that, you can definitely still use these dies to put the holes on this portion of any of your pages as well. They've got different notches in them, so this half cut die and the small one have notches on this outer edge to be able to line this up, but the actual whole dies have extra notches in them which will help you line up the perfect distance with the notches that they've put in these back pieces of this. I'll show you that up a little bit closer so you can see. So you see on here it's got a little notch that pokes into the metal, but this die that has the holes in has multiple notches, and then those notches you can line up with on these pages, or the half cut pages actually. They have notches here and you can line those notches up with the other notches when you're cutting, and then you get all of your holes in the perfect position on your like spine portion of your memory book as well. Although if you are an avid memory book maker and you have a lot of Tonic memory book dies, you probably have the spines in your stash, so any of these half cut ones or the full sized shapes or even those extra like half circle kind of ones you can use with the spine dies to add them as pages in a book if you like doing it that way. Or if you like to do a foam tape spine like I do, last time we had a memory book die set, I think it was in the March Madness, I did a tutorial video on my foam tape spine because I'd had a few people ask if I could do a video on how I put my memory books together with the foam tape in the spine, because that's just my preferred way and I find that they just last a really long time doing them that way. So I will make sure that's linked at the end of the video when the 2 extra videos pop up. I'll make sure it's one of those so you can click on it if you haven't already seen that tutorial video, or you can just search for it on YouTube as well. You can just put CRaFTi potential foam tape spine and you'll probably find it that way as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention all those things first, and then we'll have a look at the die set, and then I have finished 2 books to show you as well, and I've also done a little bit of die cutting on a couple of card panels to show how some of these beautiful shapes will work on your card panels. I think this one is going to be absolutely gorgeous for cards. And then these like half arches. I'm sure I've shown a half arch in something recently, but I can't think what set it was in. But half arches are always lovely as an aperture on a card as well. So you've got 3 different ones that will match with those 3 different sizes there too. There is also, I think, from looking at these pieces that I haven't actually used, I think it's some kind of locking mechanism, but I didn't get instructions, and I was kind of rushing to finish this book because I only just got the pattern papers to make it with, so I didn't have a chance to try and like actually figure out how the locking mechanism works. But speaking of pattern papers, to go along with this birthday week launch, there is another new set of their 12 by 12 patterned papers, and this is the Mulberry one. I think this is my favourite by far of all of the ones that they have done. But you get 18 sheets, 2 of each of 9 double-sided designs, and they're really, really gorgeous. They've got like beautiful bold designs on one side, and then I've got a scrap of a few of them left here. Oh, that's a full piece there. Look at the beautiful design on that. Isn't it absolutely stunning? You've got all sorts of different clusters, smaller cluster ones, and then some of them have got the same intensity design on both sides, but like more sparse on one side than the other. And then the other ones have got like a faded, like ghost printy kind of design on them. So whether you want to go really subtle and really make your patterned die cuts pop on top of these, or whether you just want that beautiful focal kind of image, they're really, really pretty. I absolutely adore these ones, so I've used those to create my big memory book, but these will also be launching today when this die set comes out, and there are some fantastic ones in here that have got gorgeous striping and like flowers around the edges, and I think they would be fantastic for your card making, because you could easily get 4 fronts for a 6x6 card, or you could easily get 6, I suppose, card fronts for smaller size cards that I like to make as well. So they'll be really like economic for these ones, and also these beautiful designs anyway would just be fantastic for a really quick and simple card. You could just put a gorgeous bold sentiment across the middle of it, maybe stack it up 2 or 3 times, put some aqua shimmer glitter gloss on it, and do a couple layers of clear heat embossing to make it look really luxury, and you've got an instant card straight away. So really love those papers, and I will show you them in the memory book as well. But going back to the die sets, there's so much to show you in a memory book kind of video. I think I'll run through first the different pages that you're getting. So I'll just have a magnetic sheet here to be able to show you on here. But this is the largest page. So this magnetic sheet, I don't know if you can quite, oh, wrong way. There you can go, you can just see the whole thing. So right down to here to right up to here is an A4. And that is how large the largest page is. So pretty decent sized page for the largest one. The middle sized page you can cut sideways on an A4, although you can't get 2 of them on an A4 because of this bulging sort of design on it. You can't quite get 2. Actually, I didn't try doing it that way. No, you definitely can't get 2. But you can get 1 sort of sideways. If you don't need as much card for your spine, you can save a little bit of card rather than having to cut it this way and having a bit of waste up the side as well. You can cut this one sideways, but that is the next size down for your page. And then the final size is this gorgeous little diddy one, which again, obviously you can cut sideways, and you can get 2 of those out. So you can do 2 from an A4 sheet, which is nice. So you can make your base colour cardstock go a little bit further. So those are the 3 main page sizes that you get. And then you've also got these half cut ones. So you've got a half cut one for the small, and it fits absolutely perfectly just there and nestles in really nicely. That almost looks like a handbag actually, like that. And then you also have this one for the medium size as well. So you've got 2 half-cut pages within there too, but you've also got the 3 main size pages as well. And if you want to see the size of these kind of ones in comparison, so these are the archway ones, but if you see here, the cutting line goes right down to the end of that metal, but the detail stops here as if you're supposed to score across here. So that this would be sort of hidden underneath something, and would allow for it to kind of like flip up, or you can just score it straight along where that metal is as well, but it doesn't have that final cut edge on the back, so you can do any sort of flips and flaps with it as well, which is nice. And the size of this, so the large one is sort of maybe 1 centimetre longer than that spine portion on that one, so it'll fit really nicely if you wanted to cut it into the large page, or you could also cut it further into the medium size page as well. And then the next size down obviously will fit really nicely on the medium sized one, again about a centimetre difference from that spine size, or maybe you could put two of them opposite each other and have something that tucked in between of them for the larger page. And that one, not quite on the smaller page, but this one, the smallest one, will work perfectly on the smaller page, and again it's about a centimetre longer on that side than the spine there is there. And you can cut that in, or you probably couldn't cut two on the medium sized page, but you could cut two on the large page and have them sort of opening up, or putting something between them as well. So you've got that different style of element to sort of add on to there as well. Then how shall I show you the rest of it? I never know how to show memory book dies to make them like clear of what you're getting. If I put them all back inside each other, so for the layers of all of the three main shapes, you're getting two layers. So you get the largest layer, which has a beautiful stitch detail, and it's more of an even stitch. Sometimes we get a wonky stitch design, but this is more of an even stitch. And then it also has a debossed line on the inside as well. So you get a beautiful stitch and a debossed line on that one, which is the same as the outside edges actually. I should have really shown you that up close, shouldn't I, as well. On the outside edges of all of the pages, you get the stitch with the debossed line, and on an actual page, the stitch and the debossed line goes along here as well. So you've got this bit, which is how you would attach it into your book, whether you use the holes or the foam tape, or you use a spine die, or however you want to do it. You also have the detail running along that edge as well for those ones. And then the next size down, so after you've got the stitched one with the debossed line that matches the outside edge, you then have this one that has like a double debossed line, really fine. It is double, isn't it? Yeah, double debossed line. You can kind of see it. It's basically the same debossed line that you get on the other one, but instead of having the row of stitching, you've got an extra debossed line. So it's a little bit more simple as an edge, and obviously it would give you a bigger difference between the edge of your mat and the edge of the book. You'd have more of like a centimetre, whereas this gives you about half a centimetre all the way around. So you've got that sort of difference in there as well. And obviously you get those two for all three sizes. So for the medium size, you also get both nesting dies to go on there as well. And then for the smaller one, you also get both nesting dies to go on there as well. Then if I hop back to the half cut ones, maybe if I bring this one back in and hop back to those half cut dies that we're getting. So the larger half cut die, and then the smaller of the half cut dies, move them down. You got those two shapes in the set. You've got the larger and the smaller, which fit on the medium and the small size pages. And then to go inside those, you have that hole die that I was talking about earlier. You have one that fits on the small one perfectly in with those notches in it as well. And then you have the larger, oops, dropped a die. Then you have the larger one that fits in between those notches there, but has the extra notches for you to use it with the other pages. And then you also have decorative panels to go on these half cut pages as well, which have the stitching and the debossed line, but you only have one to go on each of those. But instead of having the second matten layer, you have a detailed layer. So it has kind of like a striped design with some florals in there. It's a little bit of an abstract kind of design. I think they're maybe supposed to be like tatty roses, similar to some of the patterns on the paper, but it is quite hard to actually make out what the pattern is. But it's a pretty pattern though, it looks nice when you cut it out. It's much easier to see on the larger patterns, but it's kind of like stripes with tatty clusters of roses on there. And then for the, oh goodness, I dropped another die then. Then for the larger one, you've also got the same matten layer with the stitching and the debossed line, which goes in there perfectly. And then you have that decorative panel. You can see it clearer in this one, that stripy design with the kind of tatty roses. Can you kind of see what I mean? There's like 3 tatty roses and there's a little bit of foliage coming off of them. I think when you cut it out you kind of see it better, although I didn't actually cut this one out. I only really cut the small one out. I think I used them all in my book though. Yeah, I don't think I have another one of them cut out to show you, but I will show you that in the book. But yeah, really pretty design that actually would lend itself nicely to paper piecing if you wanted to. Or you don't have to go with these designs at all. You have those outside edges, so you can cut them all from patterned papers too. So that is those dies. Then I might as well put them back on the magnetic sheet while I'm talking about them. These are the 3 arched dies that you get. And then there are patterned panels to go in all 3 of these. So you have, again, the outside cut line, the stitch line, and then the deboss line. So everything will match really nicely across the whole book that you're making. Any of your little addition and layers and things will all match really nicely. So you have the outside edge for that large one. And then you also have the same matching panel with the tatty rose kind of clusters and the straight lines in there. Then you have the medium one as well. So again, exactly the same die, just in the smaller size. And then you have the gorgeous tatty rose kind of pattern as well to go in there. I did cut that one out as well, yeah. So I think it was that one. Maybe it was the smaller one actually. I cut one of them out, so you can see that in the book as well. And then you do also get the smallest design too, which actually fits inside the other one on the other sheet. So you've got the smallest little semicircle. It's not 100% a semicircle, it's more like a semi-oval. It's got more of an elongation to it than a semicircle. So it might be something completely different to any other die that you have in your stash as well, which is nice. And that's why I'm saying it would make a really lovely aperture on a card, because it's a bit different. It's not just a half circle, it's like a half oval kind of a shape. So that is those 3 decorative ones that layer onto those half circle designs. Then, I know a lot of people absolutely adore, like me, these CRaFTi word dies that come in a lot of the memory book sets. So it's got its outside bubble, and this one says Today's Treasures, and it's in the same kind of font that a lot of them are in. I feel like most of them do come in this kind of font now. I feel like they've kept that quite consistent across the different memory book designs. So I'm sure in a lot of the places where I've used these in my books, you could definitely switch them out for other ones that you've got from your stash from different die sets as well. Just making the samples, you kind of have to stick to the set that you're showing off. But yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of other words with a very similar look to them that you can mix and match these with as well. But Today's Treasures is that one with the bubble. And then there's also, again with the bubble, this one that says Yesterday's Stories. So it's quite nice that you've got today and yesterday as words, because you could just snip those out and use them individually for different things as well. And also just stories would be nice snipped out and used individually as well, because you can snip around some of these curly cues and stuff. There's not too much that joins them together. So you've got Yesterday's Stories and Today's Treasures as your 2 words. Then, let's flick back to this half of the die set. Sorry if this is annoying going backwards and forwards, but I feel like you kind of have to show everything in a logical kind of order. The next, like, extra die that you're kind of getting in this set is a tassel die. So I don't know if any of you have seen the tassel dies before. I don't know if I did a video on it actually. Tonic brought out 2 collections of loaded pocket dies. And I can't remember if it was in the first collection or the second collection. One collection had the rosette in, I think, and the other collection had the tassel in. You can also use this as a fringe as well, but I think this tassel is different. I'm pretty sure the original tassel had squared ends to it, whereas this has got like lovely curved scalloped ends. It looks really fantastic when you turn it into a tassel. So you've got a gorgeous little paper tassel to go on your memory book, or on any other kind of you know, project that you're doing. These could be for a key ring, you know, to put on your keys or to hang on your bag. It could be like a bag charm or something as well. It doesn't have to just be to use with your memory book, but you get that beautiful tassel die in this memory book die set. And again, it looks fantastic as like fringing. The length of this would fit exactly between the debossing lines on that largest layer of the memory book, so it's a really decent size. You could use it sideways on a page, and it wouldn't really work if you trimmed that off, would it? Because all the other pieces would fall off. But I was thinking maybe you could run it down the middle of a page and have a strip going across and put your journaling and stuff above it. and just have it as like a gorgeous decoration on the bottom portion of your page. I didn't actually do that in the end, but I definitely think they would work really nicely for that kind of thing. Or if you're creative, you could use this to create like a tatty sort of flower as well. You know, kind of use it like a quilled rose kind of die, but have the longer, you know, bits and pieces hanging off of it as well. Maybe like if you wanted to combine it with another tatty rose die that you have, this could even be the middle portion of a fuchsia or something, you know, the long bits that come out the middle of a fuchsia. So there's so many ways of using just this tassel die as well in different ways, and for your card making too. Wouldn't that look absolutely lovely? If I get my favourite small size of a card, you could easily snip it smaller to fit, and you could have a beautiful tassel and like cover the edge of it here and have your sentiment going across it. It would look really, really lovely on a card. Or you could do it sideways. You could also stagger them so they're not 100% on top of each other and do multiple layers of them, but stagger them so you kind of get the next one above is halfway between the other two, and you could have like a whole fringed kind of card with this beautiful tassel die as well. So I think it's a really lovely one to have in your stash, and you could use it for all sorts of different unique kind of projects. So you've got that, and then also, I presume this is what this die is for, it kind of gives you like a string of pearls. You know when you buy those self-adhesive pearls that are all stuck together on the same bit of glue? It kind of looks like that, and then there would be a gem on each, or a pearl on each of those little circles that are on there. I think this is designed to wrap around the top of the tassel to kind of give it a nice finish to it, which is how I used it. But it also just adds a lovely extra accent on your books as well. It's a decent kind of size compared to the actual like height of the book too, which is nice. Probably fits the best on the height of the medium size page, but you could just use snippets of this just to pull in different colours and stuff as you're decorating your book. So you've got that lovely die there. Then these dies on this one that I'll put back on this sheet because that's where they're supposed to live. These are really, they look like really unusual kind of shapes, but they're actually designed to go in the inside corners of your half cuts. So they give like that, it kind of makes me think of like a handbag or something, like, you know, the corner reinforcers at the bottom of a handbag that might have feet on it or something. But it gives a really lovely look, and you can put them on the corners of those, or it might, no, it's not quite the same as the curve of the, oh no, maybe it is. Maybe you could use it round the side actually. I didn't think to use it there. I'm sure there's tons of ways of using these with all the different elements within this die set as well. Yeah, it does fit on that archway really nicely actually. I didn't even think to try that. But I was using it in the corners of these half cut pages and the main pages as well. Plus I also just used it as leaves because they just look like a lovely quirky shaped kind of leaf. And you get two of each in each size. So they're opposite each other. So how am I going to show this to you? Like that. So if that one's, they both look the same like this because one is up one way and one is up the other way, but you can see you flip them over and they're like the handedness of each other. So you've got the two opposites, so they'll go nicely as like corners on a page or something. So you've got the three different sizes of those. So you've got the medium, the large size, the medium size, and the small size, which I probably should have guessed that's why you get all three, because they work with the arches of the pattern panels and stuff as well. But they do also work with these half cuts and some of the corners within your book too. So you can play around with where you want to use them. And you have two, you know, both handedness of each of those three different sizes of those. Then there are multiple different dies, let me just get all of them out, that I think are supposed to create some kind of lock mechanism. But as I said earlier, oops, don't know if that's going to work. As I said earlier, I didn't get the instructions, so I don't 100% know how it is supposed to go together, but I can show you all of the dies that I think it's supposed to make some kind of lock mechanism. I think that's all of them. I think that's all of them. There's like this one that kind of looks like this would be the main front piece, because you also get an extra die here, that so you could cut this out of something else and it could be the little label that goes over the top of the front there. And then I'm thinking that, I'm sure I'm missing one. Yes, I am missing one. It's over here. I thought there was another one as well. And then I'm not 100% sure how this works, as I said, but I have a feeling there's been a mechanism similar to this before, I think. I can't remember what it was on, but you like stacked up some of these and they like nestled into a portion on the other side. So like these two are exactly the same size, but one has the hole missing out of it, and then you have this that's got double. So I presume you like stack these up on top of each other, and then you've also got this like locking piece as well. So I'm not 100% sure how that works, but you will have instructions inside your packaging when you buy it, so you can definitely figure out how that works. I think it's going to be a cool little lock mechanism. So I presume those two would layer on top of each other, that would go behind that, and then possibly this would be on the other side, and maybe I'm not quite sure how that would slot into there, but I'm sure there is some very clever way of how that works. But yeah, I think that is some kind of locking mechanism that goes along with this. So those are all of those dies. Then you also have this little die, which gives you like a tiny little, I think it's like almost like a whale tail tag hole reinforcer kind of piece. And then you also have this piece as well. So, maybe you turn this or something. I don't know actually. Because that kind of looks like this would fold in half, and maybe that piece with the two holes would come up through this little piece or something. Maybe there's two lock mechanisms. Maybe that's one and maybe this is a different one. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm presuming it makes something very cool for the lock mechanism on the memory book. But yeah, you've also got that as well. But this could actually be a little piece that you attach onto any of your little pull-out pieces, and then you could attach a little bit of twine or ribbon through those holes on there as well. So another little extra die for all sorts of different applications. And then the final thing in the die set, which I'm not going to take off the acetate because it would take me forever to put them all back on again, but you have an alphabet. You have a debossing alphabet with fancy letters. So you've got the whole alphabet going all the way along, and then you get the last few letters over here, X, Y and Z are there. So you've got the entire alphabet in these gorgeous like fancy letters that you can just line up next to each other, put a bit of tape behind them, and then run them through your machine, and you'll get your word debossed into whatever panel you decide to deboss it into. Because you could do it around the curvature of something if you wanted to. You don't get numbers, but you do get the entire alphabet, so you could personalize it with someone's name around it. So you can do any sort of like personalization, making them go round the curvature, going along the straight line. You can just do them into a scrap of cardstock and like cut a flagtail banner on the end. You could use them in conjunction with other dies that you have in your stash, or you can just use them to create a debossed sentiment for a card as well. Or you could even do initials. Actually, you could put like 2 initials on this if that is part of the buckle closure kind of mechanism. You could have initials on there as well. So all sorts of different ways that you can use those little alphabet dies as well. So I'll finish putting the rest of those dies on the magnetic sheet, and then I will come back and show you the 2 memory books that I made. So to give you an up close look at the 2 finishes of the different dies, you can see you have a double deboss line on that second layer of them, and then on the first layer you have the stitch and then the deboss line. So that's what they look like when you cut them out just into 300 GSM white card. And I'd got those pieces from kind of just showing you an aperture in a small size card, a beautiful shaped aperture using the smallest panel from the smallest book. And then this is the, I think it was the smallest archway, maybe it was the medium one, it was the medium one, the medium archway twice here, and you could stamp your sentiment across the centre. You could have the pattern panel recessed behind, you can make it a shaker card, it could be an Easter card because that just looks like an Easter egg as well, and you could put Happy Easter going across the centre, maybe have some stamped and die cut out rabbits or something, or chicks, that chick set that Tonic had a while ago with the, it had chicks and it had a rabbit, didn't it, and it was pushing a wheelbarrow. You could combine that with this kind of shape as well for an Easter card. But that is just showing you a couple of ways of using the gorgeous dies with cards. But these are the 2 memory books that I created. So the first one, it's not really a memory book, it is a Craft Perfect cardstock swatch book. And I decided to do this really cool spine on it. So I've used the holes, and I used one of the hole dies and lined it up with the notches on the small pages for the spine. But then as I was laying the pages together, I cut the white one, I just did this by hand, I didn't bother with a paper trimmer. I cut the white one with a long bladed pair of scissors, sort of just beyond the holes where I thought it would stick still be sturdy. Then I just held the red page behind the white one and just trimmed it with an extra like millimetre or so. Then I did the same with the orange, the yellow, the green, the turquoise, the blue and the purple, and then the white back page as well. And then you just get a cool like rainbow piece on your spine, and then you can just lace them all together with some twine because you've got all of those holes in there. And I just started from the bottom, so I started going with a loop around the bottom, and then I went both ways through all of the holes, and then when I got to the top I had one piece coming out the front and I brought the other piece over the top and then tied it at a knot in the front as well. I also hid some bright white 3mm ribbon underneath the front and back panels on this as well, so that I had a little ribbon closure for it. You'll also notice, if you are a kit subscriber, this is the packaging that you get all of your Nouveau goodies in, the newer design that has the newer CRaFTi logo on there. So I cut the CRaFTi out to use it on the front of the card, on the front of the memory book, and then I've just used my Dymo to write cardstock swatches. I've used it to cut out a patterned panel on the front and the back, so you've got that gorgeous pattern on there. And to do this bit behind, it's just leftover scraps from when I was cutting all of the pages. So you've got a rainbow of little pages, and I did this with the bound spine because I thought, okay, maybe with this it might mess it up if you add pages in, but I thought you could, if you wanted to, you know, cut this off every now and then and add more pages in to be able to expand it, or to add more colours in or something if you want to as well. But I just did it as a really basic kind of one, and I just put in cardstock swatches that were all from my scrap box. I just found all the different ones that were in my scrap box and snipped a piece off. So you've got pearlescent, you've got just gorgeous textured ones, you've got a satin one there as well. So you've got like the ready pink page. Then I've got an orange page with some craft on, but again, you could have cut more pages into this, so you had red and pink, orange and craft. I've done yellow with some gold in there as well. I've got green on here too with some gorgeous mirror cards. I've got turquoisey kind of colours. I've got darker blue and silver and grey, and then I've also got purples in there as well, just to give you sort of like an idea. But you have got like the spare sides of these pages as well, so you could add in other colours on those sides if you wanted to. So, you know, where I've added blue and silver and grey here, I could have made this blue and put all of the silver and greys on this side, and with the yellows I could have made this side yellow but put all of the golds and stuff on this side. And these pages are all, one page is the full page which goes into the spine, and the other page is cut off just after the stitching. So these back sides of the pages could be different cardstocks as well. So this could have been the Majestic Gold pearlescent cardstock to make this a gold page, and then you put another white mat onto here, and then you put all your golds on here. Or this could have been a craft piece of card, and then all of the craft swatches would have gone on a white mat on this one. So you can definitely adapt this to whatever you want to do, but I just thought it was a different idea. I've done a Nouveau swatch book before, quite a while ago now. I can't remember what number memory book it was for, but I'm sure I did like ink pads, aquaflows, Nouveau drops, alcohol pens, that kind of thing on different pages for like a Nouveau swatch book. But I thought I'd just do a little baby mini CRaFTi swatch book. And it was an afterthought to use that packaging from the kit, but it works so well, doesn't it? Just as like an extra background layer. So if you saved up all of your bags like I have, I mean, I've got more of the older design, but they could just be pattern papers in a memory book as well. You could have put pattern papers behind these as well. It doesn't have to just be white cardstock. It could have been these bags that you saved behind all of those, or on the spare page on the back or whatever. You could have had those on a lot of the pages and used more of them as well. So that is my first one, which is the mini size, and the small size made up with my rainbow spine on it has made it 4 3/4 ish, nearly 5 inches wide, and then the height is about the same, so it's pretty much made it square, adding that little extra rainbow spine on it. It's in a sort of square sort of size, just less than 5 inches, so a really cute dinky little sized book. And then all you do to close it is just tie the ribbon back up. And then the other book that I've made is the medium size. So this is the medium size, using all of those gorgeous papers and also using some of that weird shape to make some leaves on there as well. I did a couple leaves on the spine. You've got leaves here. You've got today's treasures, yesterday's stories as the sort of main sentiment on here. And I just cut one of the layers from some vellum and I ripped along the edge and then just added that behind. And this is the double deboss line on the vellum. You can just about see it. It's kind of hard to see in real life as well, actually. But that is the double deboss line just onto the vellum. So you can see how nicely the layers work. That's the outside page. That's the first layer. That's the second layer. That's kind of like the differences you get within the layers. So that's the front cover. Then I've used the gorgeous pages inside, obviously. And then this was my little sort of made up thing using those two semicircles and one of the smaller layers in here. So I've just done it so it folds like that and then magnets shut, and I've just added a couple of that funny shape to be little leaves on there as well. But you could put different photos in here. This could have been a little pocket. You could tuck tickets and things in here. Obviously this page can be decorated as well. I just did sort of like basics for this memory book, but that is the first page. Then the second page I've done a little pocket. So I've used one of the half cut layers, cut it from the patterned paper but only stuck it on the 3 sides to make a little pocket, and I've used some of those random pieces on this portion just to add some extra pop of colour to those bits. This colour is the sea spray green, and then this colour, and this is raspberry I think, and the purple that I've used that's also on the front here is aubergine. So raspberry, aubergine and sea salt green work perfectly with this paper pad if you want to get that, and they will all be linked below as well, and also the die set as well. If you want to get hold of them. And then this one, this is the half cut page, but instead of leaving it as a half cut page, before I stuck the 2 pages together, I put the patterned paper in there. So I'd cut the layer of patterned paper the same size as this one. I stuck them both back to back. I know they are double-sided, but you have the unprofessional edge on one side. I did rescue part of the piece that was underneath here as well, but I stuck them both back to back. Then I stuck one half cut page on one side and one half cut page on the other side, but I made it a pocket on one side of it as well, just to make an extra little tuck spot there. And I've used Today's Treasures, and it just shows a different way of using a half cut page. It's a half cut page, but it doesn't have to just be a half page. You can add something else onto it. So you're saving cardstock for your main book, but then you're adding your patterned papers on there, and 2 layers of patterned paper is perfectly sturdy enough, especially that patterned paper which is 200 GSM. It's perfectly sturdy enough to be a whole page by itself, so you can save on cardstock making your actual book by using the half cut dies to create the main portion of your book on the inside. If you wanted to, you could just have a whole cover and all the pages could be half cut pages with patterned paper poking out of them, or even acetate. Imagine this is acetate, and then you could have things, make them look like they're floating on there as well. So many different ways that you can use those half cut dies. And then here I've put another couple of those sea salt green pieces on there. This one is using the small half cut dies and putting them either side of one of those shapes again, but using it portrait this time, just to make a little piece that flaps out as well, that you could put photographs or journaling or tuck things inside it, anything you want to really. I just wanted to make something else a little bit different using the half cut dies, just to show you can do that as well. And if you were using the largest book, you could definitely do the half cut dies using the medium size to do something like this in the large book, because it would fit inside the pages nicely. But that is just that sort of element in there. And then I did another one of these back here, but used it the other way around. So this one is portrait, so that's portrait, but the first one that I showed you was landscape with that main sort of shape in there. And then also on this one, this is where I've used a little bit of that bead kind of design, that die cut piece that I also used on the tassels to wrap around here. And the way you do the tassels is you take your Nouveau quilling tool. I used the chunkier end of the quilling tool, and then I just started twisting it, and then as I was twisting it I put a little bit of glue on the rest of the tassel that's hanging out, twist it up, keep adding a bit more glue, twist it up until I get to the end so that it's nicely stuck. Otherwise sometimes you pull the quilling tool out and it all like unravels out the middle. And then to get the ribbon on there, I just tied a bunch of knots in the end of the ribbon and then poked it up through the middle, and then you've got a big knot inside there, but it holds it so it won't come through. And then I put a couple of pieces of the die cut kind of gem ribbon thing that I was telling you about before, the little die cut to go around the edge of it, just to make it look a little bit neater. And if I had made these first, I could have sandwiched them between my foam tape in my spine when I was putting it together, because I did one of my foam tape spines on this one. I could have sandwiched it in the spine so that it hung out, or that it could, maybe if you made it long enough, it could tuck inside the book and hang out the bottom. But I was thinking to attach these to this book. I haven't done it yet so that I could show you them separately, but I was thinking maybe run a bit of adhesive along the inside there and then stick the ribbon in, and then you would close the book and then you could have the tassel sort of hanging down on the outside as well. And I think both of them would look nice, having two tassels hanging on there. So I've nearly lost my voice from talking for so long, but I hope you enjoyed this up-close video looking at the Today's Treasures memory book die set, which is a double A4 die set, which is part of Birthday Week and Christmas in July for Tonic for July 2023. And if you want to get hold of any of the die sets that I'm going to show throughout Birthday Week and Christmas in July, there will always be affiliate links in the description box below the video. It'll kind of give you like the title, give you a little bit of what I've written, and then it will say either more, show more, or see more, and you can click on that, and then it will say more, show more, or see more again, and click on that, and then it will give you the entire list. There'll also be a link to my blog post as well, where you can see picture links, so you can easily identify what's a piece of cardstock, what's a patterned paper pad, what's a die set and stuff as well. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to use those links. It just lets Tonic know that you've watched my video and you liked it enough that it made you want to buy the die set, and it's at no extra cost to you. It's literally just like a tracking kind of link. So you click on the link and then it sort of lets Tonic know that you clicked on the link from watching my video, and then at no extra cost to you, I'll get a commission from you clicking on my link. But it doesn't cost anything for you to be able to do it, but I do really appreciate you taking the time to click those links. Really do appreciate it. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of Birthday Week and the Christmas in July as well. And I will see you again in the next video.